putting out content of value, especially when you're doing it with no intent of remuneration, repayment, whatever. The bottom, I mean, what I took away from this is that, I don't know what y'all know about the Gary Vee story, right? But Gary Vee was a guy whose family came here literally with nothing, with the clothes on their back. They were refugees from the Soviet Union and came here with nothing. And in the beginning of the social media days, he started a YouTube channel called Wine Library TV. I recommend you watch a couple of those early, especially the early episodes. And for 10 years, he pumped out content on wine and turned his dad's business, which was, I want you to think like Cut Rate Liquor over by Lou Sterrett Jail.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to think about Cut Rate Liquor by Lou Sterrett Jail in Dallas, Texas. That's what his dad's business was. And he turned it into this giant, like, think Total Wine. He turned it into this giant corporation and then stepped back and started a new corporation from the ground up, being an advertising, social media advertising agency. And the thing about his message was putting out valuable content on social media for free. All the people who chastised him and hated on him for not charging, the people who are trying to sell out convention centers and this, that, and the other, they're not even in his universe right now. I'm quoting him directly. They are not even in his universe right now because they're still trying to sell their message instead of giving value with the expectation that it's the paradigm of giving, right? It's the whole reason we're all in RVBA, that we support veteran and patriot-owned businesses, that we support the American Legion. It's because it's this paradigm of giving, that the more you give, that you just have faith that the more you will receive. And anyway, I thought that message was a blessing, and I wanted to share it with all y'all. Thank you.
I mean, it's a great point. So as we get started, I'd like to say welcome back. Last week, we all had shit hit the fan, and it was an agreement between all of us as a leadership to kind of take a step back. And it's great timing for the topic we're discussing this week. First and foremost, thank you. The second thing I want to bring up before we get started, August 19th, everybody's been calling, texting, Facebook messaging, the whole deal, asking when the RVBA is back in session. August 19th. Right now, we have a to be determined amongst ourselves on where the meeting will be, but we want to hear from you. So if you watch this video now, if you're live watching it or you see it later on, put them in the comments. Let us know where you'd like us to meet and gather. We want the input from our members and the people that join us. It's important to us. And the third thing is, we highlight a veteran or a patriot business as we start these shows every week. And this week, I want to bring up an awesome patriot. He's not a veteran, but he supports everything America. He supports everything military. He's a great guy. Jonathan Wasden with Wasden's Plumbing Services. If you need a plumber, you need somebody to take a look at your system, whether that's remodel, reno, service, whatever. I highly recommend you guys reach out to Jonathan. He's a fantastic guy, great guy, good heart, service is outstanding. And we don't just promote anybody. We have some very, very high standards within the RVBA. Just because you're our friend doesn't mean that we're going to tell everybody about you. What we care about is that you take the initiative to take care of your clients, and you represent the Rockwell Veterans Business Alliance and your own business with the utmost integrity. So with that being said, call Jonathan if you need any plumbing services. If you end up in jail, call Casey Ashmore down at the bottom of your screen. And if you need somebody to put a roof on your house or drug test one of your employees, call my boy Doc Rand again right here. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Casey, kick us off. What are we talking about this week, my friend?
Well, we get real on this show, and this is aptly phrased, shit hits the fan. And let's face it, the coronavirus pandemic, and then now we're on 2.0 of coronavirus with the numbers ticking. We've got civil and social unrest in our nation like we have not seen since 1964. And, shit has hit the fan, and it's affected everybody's business on a unprecedented level. And I'm not talking about, we've got clients, family members, loved ones around the world who are furloughed. right? They are not working. And, you know, then they get back to work and it's upended again. I mean, shit has definitely hit the fan.
You know, speaking of which, shit hitting the fan, I'm a firm believer that's a double-edged sword, right?
Absolutely.
And what I mean by that is sometimes, for instance, in myself, you mentioned COVID, right? Well, one of my businesses office is offering the COVID screening, and I've been inundated with this, right? But I wasn't prepared for this amount of influx in business. So shit's hitting the fan in a good way. And being able to acknowledge that, being able to assess that situation, and then how am I going to align the company so that I'm able to fulfill the orders that are coming in. And I'm sure both of you can relate to that. Casey, you probably have tons of freaking cases that come and hit your desk. You're like, holy crap, what am I going to do? How am I going to make all these meetings? Jeff, I'm sure you freaking hit it all the time as you continue to grow and become a professional in your industry. Yep. People are steadily blowing you up. I mean, so when shit hits the fan, it doesn't always have a negative connotation with it. And we have to be able to understand, is this good shit or is this bad shit? And how are we going to do it? And how are we going to work through it? And how are we going to capitalize on it and maximize the most revenue for our businesses?
Well, then you got to prioritize it, right? Good shit, bad shit, however it goes. We're probably going to say shit a lot on this show because that's kind of what we do. So I hope you can bear with us here. But
one of my favorite 4-letter words out there.
But when it hits the fan, you really have two reactions. And if you're a veteran, military guy, you know this term. Even if you're not a veteran or military or patriot, you probably know this term. Everybody's heard it, the fight or flight mentality. I mean, it's a cliche statement. It's a cliche term. But at the end of the day, when it hits the fan, that's what you have. You have the fight or the flight. So in the fight, you have violent actions, you have anger, you have argumentative behavior. In the flight aspect, you have more of like social withdrawal, denial. You kind of step back and segregate yourself from other things. But kicking this off and kind of jumping into the first point, the first thing you have to do is you have to acknowledge, okay, it hit the fan. What's going on? Right? So you want to take a step back. So Doc, when it hits the fan, what are we trying to acknowledge? What are we doing when we're not acknowledging that?
Well, we want to be able to ascertain, is this good or bad, right? We want to acknowledge what is the issue going on and how are we going to be able to adapt to that situation and put our best foot forward. So like you stated, we need to be able to, if it's bad, how do I find the solution so I don't have to make that same mistake twice? Yeah. If it's good, how do I maximize that benefit and continue to compound that and then be able to provide that service at a level that we've always consistently provided at that level?
And Casey, this one's for you right here. So once you acknowledge, when it hits the fan, whether that's a positive hit or a negative hit, how you react to that, to me, is the most key feature to it. Tell us a little bit of what you think about that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And, nothing goes right. Nothing goes according to Hoyle in any complex situation, right? I mean, if you're in any business scenario, there's going to be a million things you can't see coming at you. You can anticipate a lot, but how you deal with what you didn't anticipate, right? And so, Doc, acknowledge, right? I've seen this in business. Things go wrong and they take the ostrich approach, right? Bury the head in the sand, hope your predator doesn't see you, walks on by. How often does that work in the circle of life? Let's go ask, the Lion King about how many ostriches he had for dinner last night. Probably a lot, but so there's a couple of things you can do. You can be decisive, or you can drift. You can just drift. So if you fail to acknowledge, that is a decision. It's, in my opinion, not the right decision. The right decision is always to be decisive, because even if you've even if you continue down a course of action that isn't in the best interest of you or your business, at least you made a damn decision. And
Well, wouldn't you say that making no decision is still making a decision?
it's making a decision, but that
Right.
means you're just going to drift. And
Yeah.
in my experience, and I know I'm prohibited from talking about the Coast Guard, but when you're adrift at sea, I'm going to talk about the ocean generally. When you're adrift at sea, that's bad news bears. You're off course. Being adrift for just a few hours can put you off course by thousands of miles, right?
Yeah.
Thousands of miles. You can drift into unknown hazards, shoals, reefs, things that's going to take your boat down. So acknowledging and being decisive, I think, are critical, as opposed to acknowledging and playing ostrich. Because
I think you're onto something right there. I mean, I know we were cutting up before we got here and told you, we talking about George Washington and Coast Guard and all that, but you do you, brother. We love you. You make that statement you just made hit me pretty powerfully, right? Being in the ocean and drifting for 3 hours takes you thousands of miles off course. Put that into perspective in your business timeline. Right now, my business is going bonkers. It's crazy right now. If I stopped for 2 or 3 days, I would be 2 weeks behind schedule. So Casey's dead on. When you acknowledge there's an issue or it's hitting the fan, the best thing to do, and we can even go back 2 or 3 different videos before this where we said you have to stop, take a minute, and find out what's going on so you can make that decision. Yeah. That analogy right there with the ocean and the drifting, man, that kind of hit me good. I appreciate you sharing that one.
So I bet the Coast Guard had contingency plans in place, right?
Yeah.
And
redundant life rafts or like floaty jackets.
Yeah, we have
floaty, like rape whistles or something.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for the floaty jackets, because I've never pulled a body up that was wearing one. It's never happened.
Good point.
So you're not gonna find somebody 180 feet down with a floaty jacket.
Doc, what's on your mind about contingencies? Because they're critical.
They're huge. So whenever I do anything in business, be it on the roofing side, the DOT compliance side of the house, or even going on vacation or anything I do in life, I'm always having to say, what if, right? What if this happens? What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Because it's inevitable that something is going to go down. Something is not going to happen. And I'll tell you, it happened to us at the airport, right? We show up and we all have masks, but my damn 3-year-old doesn't, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, your kid doesn't. And I'm like, wait a second, she's 3. What are the odds that she's going to be able to keep it on her? Fortunately, I brought a few extra. You know what I mean? So there's always got to be some sort of a contingency plan. And from there, we have to be able to own our shit.
Yeah.
Right. Like you were saying, what are you going to do? Bury your head in the sand? If you're going to be a leader, if you're going to be a business owner, if you're going to be a team lead, you better be ready to take ownership of when something bad happens.
You got to take responsibility.
It's all good and great when we do something good. Everybody wants the affirmation. Everybody wants the accolades, but nobody wants to take ownership of when shit hits the fan, when things don't go the way they want us to.
It's funny you say that, because the leaders that I respected the most coming up through life, the whatever you want to call it, were always the ones that stood in front of the team and said, I'll take the hit, not you guys, every single time. And it brings you to a point where I remember, I don't know if you guys know about military officers, but they don't have dirt under their fingernails. But in Afghanistan, my captain got in there and buried or dug a trench with me. And I tell you, man, that speaks volumes. So when they say get in the trenches with your people, that's legit shit right there. You need to be there. So when you make a mistake or it hits the fan, own up to that shit every time.
I completely agree with that notion of leadership. And I will tell you something. Similar thing, right? The mentors and leaders that I've had, the ones that really stuck with me, the ones that really showed me their leadership. Not only did they always own it, there was never the buck passes on to someone else. That never even crossed their mind. And I'm talking about a few people I'm talking about Master Chief Petty Officer Tom Baker. I'm talking about Court of Criminal Appeals Judge Barbara Hervey, people who always owned it. No matter what went sideways, it was not anyone else's fault but their own, because they were in charge. And, you know, that taught me, I didn't realize it then, but it taught me so much later about the kind of mentoring and leadership that turned me off, the kind of mentoring and leadership that I knew I never wanted to exemplify in my own private business, and the type of mentoring and leadership that I wanted to aspire to, right? You know, I don't hit that mark every day. You know, we had, you know, some bad stuff goes down at the Court of Criminal Appeals. Somebody dies, right? I mean, we're dealing with the ultimate irrevocable punishment a lot of times. That's our job, right? So, you know, did we backstop that? Did we put in a contingency plan like Doc was talking about to make sure that somebody's due process rights were at least looked at, scrutinized, if not given utmost consideration before the order to put somebody to death, or the order to put somebody away for life without the possibility of parole? These are the kinds of things.
Big decision, man.
That's like that should weigh heavy on your heart, right?
Yeah.
Because if you fuck that up, if you get that wrong, right? There's no takebacks when you're putting a needle in somebody's arm, right?
There's no sugarcoating anything to that one.
Right? We're talking about life without the possibility. There's no takebacks. And or very, very few, you know, like, yeah, we've got actual innocence movements and this, that, and the other, but that's less than 0.1. Anyway, the point is leadership, owning it. The buck stops here. I don't care what happened downstairs and, you know, the computers were all fried and the clerks couldn't get this, that, and the other. We're not going to tell Huntsville to flip that switch because it's my watch.
So what you're basically saying, though, is that you're taking responsibility, and then the next step would be to assess the situation, stop, think, and keep from making a bigger mistake, if we're talking about mistakes. But let's assess this one on a positive note rather than, you know, when shit hits the fan on a negative note. Doc, when it hits the fan on a positive note, stopping and thinking about what's taking place. What do you think?
Well, I'll take a step back, and and usually when things go the right way, it's because I've formed a plan. I knew what I was getting into. I set the right, I took the right actions on that plan, and I was able to delegate accordingly, right? And so I want to duplicate success. So that's how I've been able to stay successful, is because I did it right the first time, and instead of reinventing the wheel, I went back and repeated that again.
Wait, so instead of reinventing the wheel, you're following your processes, right?
That's right.
You guys know me, man. That's my thing. Processes, right?
I'm sticking to the process. I'm sticking to the system. Now, do I ever go back and I reevaluate the plan? Absolutely.
Yeah, all the time.
Right? Because the plan is always going to change to fit each of my clients' needs. It'll continue to change as material prices goes up, as, you know, whatever the client's needs are. I'll always have to be able to be flexible. But the main key components of that plan will always stay the same. Those foundations that worked in the beginning will never, ever change. And it's the same thing that you deal with. It's the same thing that lawyers deal with. And understanding that is crucial to your business. It's oftentimes when people say, well, man, I'm going to try how my competition's doing it. Well, that's never going to work for you, because you have to believe in your plan, your model, and take those correct actions to make sure that it works.
Yeah, because like we talked about, no one cares about your brand like you care about your brand. And here's something, when I was doing some research on this topic, something that stuck out to me, I read, and I can't remember where I found it, but don't spread the shit. And I stopped and I read that again, and I'm like, what does that mean? Don't take this negative, or don't take this positive and think it's going to carry you throughout the rest of the week, right? Stop, adapt, and then react. Because if you carry the negative shit with you, it's going to follow. It could follow for weeks. It could ruin your company. I've seen it ruin other people's company because one mistake cost them so much that it carried on. But then I've also seen, and I'm living this right now, where things are going really well because my processes are in place, but I'm not spreading that, thinking that that's going to carry my business. I'm still hustling. I'm still grinding. I'm still checking my processes to make sure that this process I created for this particular part of my business, is it going to carry me another 2 years? Or do I need to reevaluate this? So I think, to me, this is the most important step in this topic today, is assessing the situation. Tell us how you assess something today, Casey. You deal with a ton of stuff all day. Just give us one point how you assess something that impacted you.
Well, the biggest thing about that, just assessing things in a vacuum, is you gotta issue spot, right? You gotta be spotting where the tripwires are, and then you gotta try to anticipate. You gotta try to see around corners.
Yeah.
And that's one thing what Doc was talking about. I was jotting down some notes, but analyze what you do good, right? Analyze what you did proficiently, competently. You served your client. They're happy. They left you a 5-star review on Google. How do you replicate that? How do you replicate that client service action item to where you're doing that on a more consistent basis, so you can take it from good to great? So you can do, like Doc said, duplicate success. And I think one of the assessment things that I do, and I heard this from kind of a funny interview, didn't expect to hear it. I was just, Bill Belichick was talking about, he's not a talkative guy in any interview, right? But he was talking after one of the many New England Patriots successful seasons that we've all loved or hated in the last 20 years, right? I don't care who you are. You either love or hate these guys, but one thing they know how to do is they know how to replicate success. And maybe it's because of Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, or the GOAT of all time, whatever.
Okay, get it to your point. Forget that dude.
The point is, Bill Belichick fires himself at the end of every season.
Does he?
Terminates his employment with the New England Patriots, and he has to reapply for the job. He has to write out his philosophy as to why he's committed to winning football games in New England. And, I don't know how rigorous is Bob Kraft's, employment process after 21 straight years of winning. Probably not that. But Bill Belichick, in his mind, goes through the motions of what it took to get that job. Is he committed to the success of that organization and to mentoring these young employees? They are employees. They are the team of the New England Patriots, are the employees, right? The everybody from the coaching staff to the towel boy, motivating them to all be focused on one mission, which is winning another championship for New England. That is a way. When I heard that, that's two things that Doc hit on. That's a backstop or a contingency plan, and it's also a way to analyze what you did good so you can continue to improve. And so I started doing something similar to that. It's something Doc does. I know it's something you do. You whiteboard, or you write all your goals. Now, I write my goals down every day, and not everybody is that anal retentive as me, but I think it's imperative to write your goals down every day. However, I have some big goals that I write down 4 times a year, and I have checkbacks, quarterly checkbacks, to make sure that I'm like, am I on track, or am I 30 miles off course? When was the last time I looked at the compass? When was the last time I looked at the chart? How close I am to the shoals? So that's one thing when you're assessing, especially when you're assessing performance, so you can build on good performance and have better future performance. I think that's critical, is to that. You're going to hear some dogs in the background, so I'll apologize now. There's a leaf or something.
Structured chaos, baby. We all got families. So what I'm taking away from what you're saying right now, and Doc, probably, I don't mean to jump in on top of you, but we're aligning ourselves, which is our third bullet point here, right? Aligning our goals with our daily product, with our daily processes, right? Well, you had something you wanted to chime in on there, Doc?
Well, we talked a little bit about assessing the good, but I don't want to forget about assessing the bad.
Yeah.
Because we can't find alignment if we don't know the good and the bad.
True.
Right? We can't find the balance. We can't find the harmony if we're not understanding both sides of the field, both sides of the coin, if you would. And so whenever, like, I make mistakes on a daily basis, there's a guarantee that I'm going to somehow, one way or another, I'm going to jack some shit up. I try not to, like I really do, but the law of average, right? The law of average is going to be against me, and that's just what it is. And so when I have to assess what went wrong, I need to first look at, and that goes back down to ownership. That goes back down to owning being a leader, being the boss, being the guy in charge. And am I giving the right information to my employees? Am I giving the right information to my clients? Did I convey to my client exactly what their needs were? Like, so when I lose a sale, I have to go back and reassess, how come I didn't close that guy?
Yeah.
Right? If I lost a client, where did I fail at, so that I can go back and not repeat that, right? We want to repeat the good, but I sure as hell don't want to repeat the bad. And
Even
so,
more so the bad.
right? And so it's so important that we assess, like every day, me and my wife, when we put everybody down and we're laying and we're hanging out at night, I go, tell me what you did. What was your day like? What were your headaches?
You're so
And I'm able to pull that out, and we can talk about it, and then vice versa. And I do that with my boy Aaron. And so I encourage anybody that has a team that's married or whatever, y'all need to like push each other and ask the hard questions, because that's where you're going to see the growth that you're looking for, is when you ask the question that nobody wants to ask, when you address that elephant in the room.
It does that. It puts you in a place where you're asking the tough questions, but it also opens you up as a leader. We talked about different leadership styles in the past, but think of the leaders that you've had in the past that you respect the most, and how they were open, and how you could come talk to them, how there was that cliche open door policy. A lot of people say, oh, there's an open door policy. That's a bunch of bullshit, straight up. But there are the select few that truly, truly have it. These two guys right here, there's an open door policy. It doesn't matter what time of day it is, what we're dealing with, whatever. If shit's hitting the fan, all three of us are answering our phones. And you know what? Even more so, we're answering it for all of these members of the RBBA. So keep that in mind.
Sure.
That I love that you brought that up. Ask the tough questions and be open. Be open to criticism. Be open to self-help. Be open to sharing your goods and bads. It's going to make you a better person in general, I think.
Because oftentimes we're scared to admit faults, right? There's a fear of looking like a dipshit, And if I can't if my people don't feel comfortable enough coming to me and say, hey man, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And I'm not mature enough as an owner to sit there and listen to their mistake, then what's that make me? How am I supposed to scale my company accordingly if my clients and my employees are afraid to come and say, man, I made a mistake, I screwed up. Now, it's one thing to mess up once or twice, and it's a whole different ballgame if the damn guy keeps repeating the same mistake, okay? I'm not telling you guys out there to let your people keep making mistakes.
No,
because that
not at all what
your business. That is not what I'm saying here. But
there's
I'm
a level
saying,
of understanding, and then there's a level of
like your ass is fired. If you make the same mistake more than once, you're gone. I don't have time for that shit. I'm trying to grow. But
how many times have you learned from one of your employees?
I've learned a ton from working with and I've learned patience and I don't even want to talk about it. We want to
I've
get
seen
into
Casey.
Right
This is a great point right here. I remember it was probably a year or so ago, where it may be longer than that. Hey, we got this new building. Come over here. We need some network, drop some phones and blah, blah, blah. You walk into that place now, man, it is off the charts. There's people everywhere. This dude's running around a million miles an hour. How do you keep up with it? Because shit's hitting the fan on a daily basis for all three of us, whether it's on the negative or the positive side. How are you keeping up with it? Are you aligning yourself daily? You write down your goals every day. Doc and I use a different methodology, and we use a whiteboard. We put our goals so we're similar. We're doing that kind of same deal. Tell us how you, the veteran business owner who was somewhat new to this community a handful of years ago, has grown and aligned your business with how you've grown.
Well, I think the big thing is I like to use a lot of sports analogies. So you got to look for how you get free throws, right? Statistically, the best basketball team in Pee Wee League to NBA, who has the highest free throw percentage from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, which is the average work week. I mean, one, that shit's got to go out the window.
Yeah.
Like, forget that shit. If you want to work for yourself,
There ain't no
you're
8 to
about to
5.
meet the worst boss you've ever had.
Yeah.
Motherfucker never wants to give you a day off. Always working. The phone is always in your pocket, and you better answer it 25/8, not 24/7, 25/8. But you got to look for free throws, right? I mean, like, how do you win in basketball? You either have a lot of assists or be open for a lot of assists, or you got to be a good free throw shooter.
Yeah.
And secret way to win in business is get up at 4, get up at 5, get up and work when the rest of the world is sleeping. Get up and get after it, because, I mean, one thing I love is that, even with a broken back and a broken foot, I still get up at the 4 o'clock hour. I've been on my stationary bicycle so much in the last month, I broke it today.
Uh-oh.
Wore it out.
Need some WD-40.
Yeah, no, the pedal sheared off. Pedal sheared off the damn bike today.
That's moving and grooving.
Okay. So the thing about it is, get up, get your hour of reps in. I mean, whatever you're doing, push-ups, sit-ups, what have you, get up, get after it, and then clear your mind and get to work. You have between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m., you have an hour to exercise, make breakfast, have coffee, and get work done. Get your whole day charted out, right? I have a mini to-do list. You got to empty your mind of the junk drawer, of all the little things that clutter up and detract your attention. And I think a critical thing, I know you guys are into, physical fitness and health as well. You got to be committed to having this balance in life. And that's one critical way. Align, look for a way to get a free throw. If you can't get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, because a lot of people hate that shit, and I don't blame you, then stay up. Turn off the Netflix at 9 o'clock at night, right? After wifey goes to bed, tuck her in and go the fuck back to work. Okay. Yeah. Go to work and work from 9 to 11. Find a way to steal time back so you can put it in your pocket, so you can write little checks to your future by making these small deposits. I think that's a critical way to align your goals with getting, staying on track, being aligned. And what's the biggest thing that most people say they don't have time for? Don't have time to work out. Well, if you're staying up late or you're getting up, guess when the gym is emptiest? 4 a.m. and 9 p.m.
When you're not there.
Yeah.
Right.
I tell you what they do say though is those old timers that get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, they're old timers.
That's right. I'm
more of a stay up late kind of guy myself, man.
Hey, I want to piggyback on what he's talking about with that alignment. You know, when you finally found that alignment that you're looking for inside your business, when you finally get the synergy that you've been seeking, you will find a balance.
Yeah.
And I promise you that balance isn't going to last very long, but it's important to recognize it and give yourself those accolades that you deserve whenever you got the synergy. And that's probably one of the hardest things that I've struggled with, is trying to find a happy medium balance and alignment between running multiple companies and supporting father and being a husband and all of the other stuff and chaos that the world seems to bring with us.
Structured chaos.
Couldn't put that on a t-shirt, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we're looking for those life balances, because money doesn't buy happiness, but in order for us to gain the happiness, we need to have some sort of balance in our life so that we're able to share our time with everybody, right? Like he's saying, Father Time waits for nobody.
And you don't get it back.
You don't give a shit. He's like, hey, the clock's ticking. And so it doesn't matter if you wake up at 4 a.m. or if you stay up till 2 a.m. If you're not being productive with the limited amount of time that we're given, then nothing is ever going to work out for you. Yeah. So understand that and acknowledge it, assess your problems, and find some sort of unity within your workplace.
You know, one thing I can share on top of that, what you're saying is, as much as my industry is a tech industry, right? I'm very tech, but I'm also very hands-on. Casey writes down goals every day, to-do list. I'm exactly the same way. Before I hit the rack and my day's over, my to-do list is scrubbed and restarted every day. Because as a small business owner, nothing's ever finished. Doc can attest to this. Casey can, anybody watching this can attest to this. You know, that 8 to 5 job, if you're trying to be a business owner and you're thinking it's 8 to 5, dude, just go to work for somebody else, because that ain't the case at all whatsoever. So when we're aligning ourselves with these things, you know, we've acknowledged the positive or the negative that hit the fan. We've assessed the situation, how we were going to react to that, and now we're aligning them. The biggest thing you want to do when you're aligning these things is you want to have a positive reaction to that alignment. You don't want to spread the shit, like we said earlier. You don't want to do harm with however you decide to move forward. The solution must make the issue right and not cause additional headaches. That was a note that I wrote down. So however that you get to that step, and if you can't get to that step on your own, reach out to the RVBA. Look at all these people on this list. We're here for you. You know, us three, we don't have the answer to everything. We just do this because we love to share the things we've learned from others with our members and with the public. You know, we gain more out of this than you guys probably do. I promise you that, without question. What do you say?
Yeah, 100%. And what I get out of being able to do this is I'm able to brainstorm with you guys.
Yeah.
By understanding when shit hit the fans, I have a new clarity on, I didn't even think about acknowledging, you know what I mean? Like, we're taking a step back and taking a look at it, and being able to talk it through with you guys and being able to watch some of the people's comments on here. Yeah. It allows me to become better. So I think it's huge, and we're not going to stop doing these because we're selfish people. And I'm going to tell you what, small business owners are probably the most selfish people out there, and they have to be, because we're in this game for one reason, and that reason is to become more successful today than we were yesterday.
Be a better man today than you were yesterday. I teach my son that every day. I love that.
What I mean? And if we continue that train of thought, if we continue to hone these skills, then we're only going to become more successful. I use an analogy sometimes called HALT, and that stands for hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Okay. And oftentimes I need to do that when shit hits the fan, right? Because I got to figure out why something happened. Why am I feeling some kind of way? And if I halt and I can take a moment, because I get so busy, I forget to eat.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know if you guys ever done this shit, right? You get so caught up, you just forget to stop and eat, and you become hungry, and you make a poor decision, or you snap at somebody, or you snap at your client, or you don't give them the full attention. If you're angry, you need to figure out why we're angry. What has caused the problem to make us this way? Why are we feeling this emotion? Lonely, I can't really help you why you're feeling lonely, but definitely you need to look into it. Or tired. You know, people say you get up at 4 a.m., but if you're getting up at 4 a.m., you best not be going to bed at 2 a.m. because our bodies have to have the rest so that our brains have the mental capacity to get up the following day and make the same right choices.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just a really cool acronym that I've learned a long, long time ago that I implement on a daily basis, and it's HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Use it.
Casey had mentioned something, trying to buy time back. You know, I think we've covered real quick, because I think what I'd like to do here is kind of open this up and get some comments from the people here. You know, at the end of the day, when shit hits a fan, realize you're not alone. You got a team. If your team respects you at every avenue, they're going to help you out. If shit's in the fan and your team's not, go back to the drawing board. You got a whole another problem to deal with. But at that point, I think the fight or flight mentality, in that cliche term that we use, remember, the RVBA, we're all here, and all the members in the chamber, that's our mission, to promote veteran and patriot business success. Any help that we can be. And I'll tell you this, and I know I can speak for the guys with this, if we don't personally know the answer to it, we'll find out the answer for you. That's the benefit to having a tight circle of people that you know, trust, and love. You're never alone. You know what I mean? So if you're a veteran that needs something, you're a patriot that needs something, the doors are wide open for all of them.
Yeah.
Let us know. I mean, we love our members. Without the members, we wouldn't be here. And without these two guys in the leadership, like Aaron Withrow and some of the guys that started this thing, none of this would be here. So we can't do this shit alone. That's the bottom line to it. So, yeah, you guys want to touch base on any more of this? I mean, I
think, you know, Doc had said something. You know, we were talking about alignment a little bit ago, and
Yeah.
you know, finding your balance, but also through that balance, making sure that, you know, part of your balance is challenging yourself.
Yeah.
Right. If you're
Absolutely.
not challenging yourself, you're not staying the same. You're going backwards, right? You think you're challenging yourself, you know, streaming whatever the fuck's on Netflix, you know, watching Tiger King during the coronavirus. You're not challenging yourself.
Wait, Tiger King, pretty legit show though.
It was legit. Okay, but I'm just saying, you know, challenge yourself. And I mean, not everybody needs to go to South America, ride 3,000 miles and break their back, but challenge yourself, right? And you know, through those challenges, I don't care what it is. You want to run an Ironman, you want to get up every day, and like Doc, you know, that guy's crazy at the gym. He's got this side hustle Facebook show, or it's Get Fit or Die, you know, and he's trying to just beat you down like a drill instructor back in 1993, in the year of our Lord 1993. And I'm never doing that many push-ups again, Brannigan. I'm just letting you know.
Sure.
But he's, you know, through that, it is a challenge to himself to improve every day, but he finds alignment. He finds balance. He finds his unity, right?
Yeah.
And then there's another thing, right? You know, that halt, that is a really good thing, because, you know, when you're right. When you're tired, right? You get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you better be going to bed before 9, right? I mean, you know, you're going to make, your mind's going to get foggy. You're not going to make the right decisions, right? You know, how do you deal with loneliness? I mean, we're dealing with a day and age where mental health has probably never been at the forefront like it is right now, because of so many people isolated at home, so many people having to communicate and connect on the television, which is, let's face it, folks, it is not the same as like going up and getting a high five from any one of these three people, or anyone in our, you know, I'm looking forward to being able to go back to wherever we go in August, just to see, you know, the crew, right? You know, there's usually 50, 60 of us out there. It's a good time. You get to see friends you haven't seen in a month and reconnect. And, you know, right now that's all on hold. So, you know, finding that, okay, guys, see, the dogs are lonely. Like, they want the squirrel.
I think they're more hungry than anything.
You know, Casey, I want to kind of springboard off what you're saying, because as you all know, the Rockwall Veterans Business Alliance has a deep passion for the Children's Advocacy Program, the CASA, right? And, you know, as much as I give these guys grief about talking about COVID and all that stuff, it's real. And people it's adjusted the way of life. I have my own thoughts. I'll keep those to myself for right now. Go to my personal Facebook page if you'd like to see those videos. But what I would like to say to everybody that's watching or sees this video is that Casey's dead on. The challenges that are out there and the issues that are out there are real for the children. That's a huge thing for us. So we have an upcoming gun shoot, and I'm not asking you for your money. I'm not asking you for sponsorships, none of that shit. I put together a sign-up sheet and I shared it across the Legion, the RVBA, our personal Facebook pages. I want to challenge all the RVBA members, all 60 plus or whatever it is here, to get out there and spend some time with us and donate a little bit of your time. We've talked about time on this segment numbers of times here. Buy back some time for Costa for us. That's the one big thing we do every year, is do a good push for them. So if you're interested in that, it's really standing at a station, passing out some water, shooting the breeze with the ladies and gentlemen that are going to shoot. And it's a great freaking time. And the most important thing is that it helps children out. So I needed to throw that plug in there, because next week we're going to try to get the CASA board members on to give you guys a little bit more detail about who they are, what they are, and why we support them.
Hey, can I follow up with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, look, out there in Facebook land, I don't know what you know about court-appointed special advocates, but let me just tell you this: these are children, our most at-risk children in our community. They're coming out of these homes, usually in the arms of law enforcement officers or other first responders, and they are leaving these dangerous environments where they have been exposed to drugs or family violence with the clothes on their back, if anything at all. They literally live out of trash bags, and they are appointed a court-appointed special advocate, a CASA, to assist them through the CPS court system. It's a traumatic place to be in life, and the court-appointed special advocate, the CASA, is usually the first true ally and friend they got. And here's something that's great about giving your time. Years ago, me and my colleague that I work with at Ashmore and Ashmore, Brad Johnson, we met on a roof building a house for Habitat for Humanity. We've been friends ever since. You write a check to your favorite charity, your friends are like, hey man, that's really cool. I'm glad you did that.
That buzz dies off about that fucking quick.
Yeah. You know why? Because you can get more money. What's the
Yeah.
one thing you can't get back in life is time. And spending a little time at the Casa Clay Shoot. Yeah, it's going to be hot, but we're Texans. Okay. So
Yeah, suck it up.
cowboy the fuck up.
Yeah.
It's also right before, some big bird season. It's right before dove season. It's right before pheasant season. It's right before duck season. So it's a perfect time to come out and socialize and meet all the hunters that you want to take down when dove season opens up, right? You get in their mind. But the other thing is you can't get that time back, and that's going to reward you better, right? That's going to reward you better. That's a little check to your heart, right? That you did something you can't get back. And it's that paradigm of giving, right? The more you give, the more you will get. Anyway, that's all I got.
So shit definitely has hit the fan for children around this world. We can definitely agree to that. We can definitely agree that if shit hits the fan, not only in your personal life, in your business life, in your social circles, that understanding if you acknowledge what's going on and you entertain what's going on and you actually accept what's going on. Acceptance is huge when something goes wrong, and even when something goes right. For the longest time, I had a really big issue accepting the fact that I didn't know everything about the industry I was in, right? Or I wasn't the smartest kid in the class, right? So acceptance plays a big role in becoming a leader and running a company, volunteering for programs like that. When I say, hey, I'm going to do something, like my word is my bond, right? And we have to accept that and be able to move on and be able to be the people that we want to grow up to be like, right? It's just crucial. I think today's video is probably one of my favorite ones and favorite topics that we've discussed. So kudos to Jeff and Casey for sharing your life experiences, your struggles, and your successes with our members.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
And I guess we'll start wrapping it up here. Thanks to everybody. I mean, hey man, I'm happy as hell. This is, back. We only skipped a week, but it is what it is. We're going to keep them going. We're looking for people who want to jump in with us. The Rockwall Veterans Business Alliance is not only open to veterans, but patriots alike as well. The roster of people that we have is almost about a 50-50 split at this point of veterans and patriots. We don't care if you're one or the other. What we do care about is that you take pride in what you do. Your integrity is first and foremost, and you want to help other people. At the end of the day, all the other stuff works itself out. So appreciate you guys. I mean, wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. I say it every week, but I mean that shit. You guys are awesome, great friends, and I appreciate everything you do. You guys need anything from us, let us know. Get at us on the Facebook Messenger. Appreciate everybody that chimed in and watched the video today. I put the Casa Clay Shoot sign up in the link if you're interested in it. And if you got questions about anything that the Rockwall Veterans Business Alliance can do for you or you can do for us, get at us. That's what we're here for.
Hey, one quick thing before we roll out. If you guys are enjoying the information that we're putting out, and you guys have a topic that you want to discuss, and you want to actually be on one of these shows, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to give you that opportunity. And we look forward to it, man. You guys be well.
Yeah. And the other thing, go on the Facebook page, the Rockwall Veterans Business Alliance Facebook page. Every business owner always asks for this, and I'm going to ask for it for our organization right here. If the RVBA has helped you, or you have helped somebody in the RVBA, go leave a stinking review. People need to understand the impact that we strive daily to make in this community through the Rockwall Veterans Business Alliance. It's because of the Rockwall Veterans Business Alliance, us three knuckleheads are as close and as tight as we are because of that.
Yeah.
We love the shit out of this thing. So let everybody know you do the same. Got anything else, Casey?
No, well said. Semper Fi, Marine.
Semper Paratus, sailor or Coast Guardman.
Whoever you are out there.
Not adrift. That's what I am. Not adrift.
Oh, I thought you said Garrett.
I'm on course and I'm always ready.
Hey, Garrett Drift is a gift, baby.
No doubt.
All right, boys. Y'all have a good night. Thank you for joining us. We'll see y'all next week.
See you next week.